and you're watching Amazing Pam's version. Today, I wanted to talk about what sets Mazikeen and I apart from standard teams. So, I recently had a question that wanted to know why, when Mazikeen was nervous at Planet Fitness, why did I choose a 30-minute training session versus a shorter training session or shorter durations? So, let's chat about it because it was super thought-provoking for me, and I spent the past week or so really trying to think on how to word this in a way that comes across gentle and respectful. And please know that this is me trying to be as gentle and respectful as I can be. And your question is super valid and definitely worth addressing. It's also never really been covered in a way that I have seen content creators talk about without becoming super defensive or thinking that they're being criticized when they're really just being asked a question based on perception. Influencers make decisions based on our lifestyle that traditional teams just don't see. So that gap in perspective can come across as unusual or against the rules. We have a responsibility as influencers to make content that is safe and repeatable. However, a lot of times our decisions go beyond what's seen on a surface level. Mazikeen and I are often in situations that require us to adapt on the fly. So these situations, such as the Special Olympics, Globals, or other large-scale events, are not something that you can train in micro 5 to 15-minute sessions, as micro sessions like that are not realistic to large-scale events that are often long, all-day, 6 to 12-hour days. Mazikeen and I are not a new team. We are not in training. Mazikeen's fully trained and understands what is expected of her. She also understands how to work through her anxiety. Mazikeen and I have been a team for many years. So this opportunity at the gym gave me a space that I could work through her fear and increase my ability as her handler and knowing and watching for her signals, feeling her nervousness, and helping her gain confidence in an environment where she's not very comfortable. And the beautiful thing about Planet Fitness at that time was the gym was empty. There were not people around. If she needed to have a big reaction, or she would have had a reaction that I wasn't expecting, I would have learned or seen it come out then, versus at another event where it probably would have been all over the internet. Oh, what a jerk she is. So yes, I could have shortened the training durations. Yes, I could have done smaller sessions with Mazikeen. However, Belgian Malinois patterned very quickly, and this was the first few times that we had been to Planet Fitness. If I would teach Mazikeen the pattern of, when we go to the gym, you feel anxious, I see that you feel anxious, oh no, we leave after 5, 10, or 15 minutes. She doesn't learn, hey, this is somewhere we're going to keep going to, and I need to calm down and relax. Also, in a micro session like that, it doesn't give her time to actually think through the environment. She needs time to experience the scent, experience the environment, experience the feedback from her handler, and work through it. And 15 minutes, that's a lot of pressure to put on any dog. So I know that Mazikeen's sweet spot for learning in a situation that's really stressful like that is about 30 minutes. Another thing that happens behind the scenes that you guys really haven't gotten to see us do quite yet, just haven't filmed it I suppose, is that we go to the Minnesota Twins games and we don't actually go into the games. However, we do crowd control outside of the games. Not we're working security, but I just expose her to the large crowds, the cheering, the sounds and the lights and everything else that goes on. And I also keep those sessions short as well. So I also want to address the second half of the question, which was when I saw that Mazikeen was very anxious, and I had talked about how we'd been to Planet Fitness before and she had shown this high level of anxiety. Why do I still choose to expose her to an environment that she doesn't like, that I know she isn't going to enjoy? And it really comes down to that dogs pattern everything. And the last thing I want her patterning is avoidance. It's kind of like when you have a reactive dog and people just say, well, when we go on walks, Fluffy always reacts, and so we just have stopped taking Fluffy on walks. Does it fix the problem? Well, it does for you, but it doesn't actually fix the dog. The dog still has that fear, that reactivity. So I can't really just teach Mazikeen to avoid stressful situations given our lifestyle. And that's just not how I train my dogs. Furthermore, it would be incredibly dangerous for me to leave Mazikeen long term and go somewhere, especially like the gym. You wouldn't tell someone with COPD to leave their oxygen tank behind. You see, I'm visually impaired, and it doesn't really seem that way online because I have a lot of technology, a lot of editing goes into my videos, and I do still have some vision. So I have some forward vision, but I don't have peripheral vision and I don't have depth perception. That means just going in and out of a parking lot from a building or, just little things like that can be dangerous. I also have epilepsy. There is not one single ounce of technology available in the modern world that can predict the onset of a seizure before it happens, but a dog's nose can. And thirdly, I have hypoglycemia, which means my blood sugar drops really low, really fast. It's not diabetes, but it's similar to that. So I need Mazikeen because she's a multi-purpose service dog and she's my medical equipment. So yeah, sometimes it might seem easier just to leave the dog at home. And for some teams, yes, they can leave their dog at home and go and do a certain activity, and that works for them. However, for Mazikeen and I, that doesn't work for us. We are always together, and sometimes that really sucks. And that just makes these situations and these training opportunities all the more important because then I can strengthen our bond as a team and we can learn together more as a team. This is not something that I would encourage you to push a Labrador through. A Belgian Malinois learns in patterns very quickly and very differently. I also have lots of experience. Now that's where I'm gonna put my little 2 cents caveat on here. There's a difference between saying, I am a dog trainer with 20 years of experience. No, I'm a dog trainer with maybe 10 years of experience as I'm nearly 30. I have nearly 20 years of lived experience with working dogs since I've been around working dogs since I was a small child, actually since I was like a wee baby. So I have lots of lived experience. I would never just leave Mazikeen at home because it would cause me too great of anxiety because I would be having anxiety about her having anxiety because she never does get left home alone, or very seldomly does she. About the only time that she is left away from me is when I'm hospitalized. And even then, I can tell you, my Rufflin has taken some damage because she does not like being alone from me. And I know she has that anxiety, that separation anxiety, because we're never separate. And so I get very anxious when my dog is not with me. That anxiety spikes my adrenaline, spikes my cortisol, and ultimately can lead to a medical episode more times than not. So I will always have Mazikeen with me. Now, I want to encourage you that while you see influencers do things online, sometimes there's a deeper portion to things that are happening that we just haven't explained, and that's on us. I haven't explained that I've had 3 service dogs. This isn't my first one. Mazikeen also is not a new dog just experiencing the world. This just happened to be a new environment she was not used to or accustomed to. So I want to emphasize that while this works for me and my dog, this would not work for most dogs. And I'm not encouraging you guys to go out and try to flood your dog, so to speak, with 30-minute sessions. If your dog is just learning, yeah, break it down into 5 or 10 or 15-minute sessions. But in the terms of us doing a long day of stressfulness, breaking it down into 30-minute sessions, be it a crowd at Target Field or be it the gym, 30-minute sessions are a good micro session for us. And that's what works for Madison Kane and I. I know how far I can push her before she's just going to shut down and then it doesn't matter. And as a handler, it's really important to know how far is your dog's threshold. And that's because I'm not trying to flood her, but that's because Madison Kane's tolerance is different than another dog's tolerance. I hope this has been kind of eye-opening and gives you a little bit of perspective on what maybe another team goes through, because it's so easy to get lost up in the world of influencing and what you see another team do online, and you can be like, wait, how does this dog go to globals but then freaks out at Planet Fitness? It's a good question to ask, and I'm an open book as much as I possibly can be. So until next time, strays, keep asking the questions, keep thinking and challenging yourself to think about what your dog might be going through. Thank you guys for the questions. I really do appreciate all of you that sit here and watch my videos and want to learn from me. If you guys want to like, comment, and subscribe, it's free for you to do, but it really truly does help me as a creator, and it helps show the world that I have something to say and that people want to hear what I have to say. And so until next time, strays, I'll catch you later.